Hey, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. Happy Thursday, family, and happy Thursday, baby mama.
Happy Thursday.
Welcome to week 8, everybody. We are moving right
Yeah.
along. So,
Mhm,
as our
mhm.
subject matters, on last week we discussed another tough but serious topic when it hurts more to stay, and we touched on
Mhm.
points that are indicators on when it might be time to go because we all know, from either experience or relationships we've been around, experiencing other people's on the outside looking in. Sometimes staying together, causes more damage, right, Shannon?
That's
And,
right.
and as you mentioned last week, we always feel compelled to do a kind of flip side. So in our topic tonight titled The Stranger Sleeping Next to Me, we're going to talk about things that may not be of interest to the partner anymore when it comes to the husband might like something different or the wife may have took a different path, but it may not, be an end all, or in some cases shouldn't be an end all. Man, Shannon, I wish we could have gotten a mail on this one, man.
I know.
even
Yeah, that would have
even
been
last
cool.
week, as a matter of fact, we haven't been able to secure one mail this season, y'all. They stand away from these topics, okay?
We'll get one.
But well,
We'll get
that
one.
I was going to say that men are a little less forthcoming, on these kind
Mhm,
of
mhm.
touchy subjects, in my opinion. And which, keep in mind, is not an expert opinion, but it's a fact that men are not big on showing their emotions as easily and quickly as some women are. And sitting their
Right.
vulnerability out there for the world to hear. So we struck out so far, but you're right, Shannon. You never know what the future holds. So we're gonna stay optimistic,
Mhm.
doggone it. Got about five, no, about seven more episodes after the night. So we might get lucky. So, anyways, we're going to get into tonight's topic, the stranger sleeping next to me. And by stranger, we don't mean literally. We are referring to the couples who, may have outgrown each other, the ones who are no longer attached emotionally, physically sometimes, or maybe just have different outlooks on life, habits, whatever it may be. For whatever reason, you two just don't vibe anymore. Or in other words of one of my country friends, Bethany, y'all don't jihad. Don't ask me what that mean now.
Yeah, I was about
All
to
I know,
ask.
all I know is it don't get along. I just don't ask me where it came from. That's what I should say. But I know what it means. It means they ain't getting along. So
Okay.
anyways, something as simple as jihad can be a deal breaker.
Mhm.
I had to say it one more time, Shannon. That could just be a deal breaker sometimes. But seriously, it may even, Shannon, be as trivial as something you mentioned in last week's episode. The partner didn't think her husband was funny anymore.
Right.
Who knows? But that to me is
Mhm.
wild, especially if there are kids involved. You don't want to blow
Right.
up your whole lifestyle for the sake of we're not having fun. Go make your
That's
own fun.
right.
Then come back and sit
Yeah,
down somewhere and go
yeah.
to sleep. Girl, bye.
Mhm. Yeah. Either go have your own fun and come home
Hmm.
and knowing that your husband is there or your wife, if the roles were reversed,
Right.
knowing that they're there. I remember when I was young, when we were both young, I'm sure we both, let good people go for dumb reasons.
Absolutely.
Um, and I
I did it and
remember
I wasn't so young, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's like they were a perfectly good person, a perfectly
Hmm.
good man,
Hmm.
but you picked on one little thing and said, "Nah, I don't like him because he don't want to travel to foreign countries with me." Then
All
you
right.
go, or
His toe longer than the other one. Like
yeah,
what?
exactly, exactly.
Pet
And I
peeves.
remember, yeah, pet peeves. And I remember this couple, a coworker of mine. Her and her husband had been married for years, and he does not to this day. He doesn't like any type of specialty food. When I say specialty, food from other countries, whether it could be Italian, he doesn't like it. If it's not down home country Southern soul food, he's not going for it. But she likes to try, different cuisines and go eat Thai, go eat, French or, whatever she's in the mood for. And she said, yeah, I'll go with my girlfriends or I go alone. And I don't know, in my early 20s. And when she told me that, I was appalled. I was like, how could you be married to him if you all aren't on the same page? So like you said, you can't just blow up your spot for dumb stuff, and they're happily married.
Trivial,
I mean,
tr-
yeah.
trivial stuff, And
Yeah.
if growing apart is the only issue, meaning you don't like what I like, Shanna, or you don't go to
Mhm.
places I go, I personally
Mhm.
at this age would never leave my marriage for that. Unlike
Right,
staying in a
right.
situation where it's damaging you physically, emotionally, or
Mhm.
publicly humiliating me. But to each his own.
To
What
each
one
his
person
own.
allows or may be able to tolerate could look like something totally different to you and I, Shannon. So,
Yeah.
i.e., this woman on Love and Hip Hop, y'all know who I'm referring to. She shall remain nameless because, baby, ain't no way under or in hell you gonna drag me like her husband does her on TV. Through the
Ooh.
seasons, has had a whole outside child and been caught in hot tubs with women's and stripper.
Mm.
Like he has
Yeah.
drug her on national TV. Like words like forgiveness and sacrifice is not a reason for staying. It's
Mhm.
another S word I could call
Right.
her, but I'm gonna be nice. But moving right along. Um,
Yeah.
so with that,
Yeah.
we have different levels of acceptance. Let's just put it that
We
way.
do. We
That's why I
do.
just share experiences, Shannon. You just share experiences. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
all these situations have to be gauged individually, because I
Yeah.
can honestly say, I don't know if the other woman would have put up with what I did in the beginning of my marriage. I endured some disrespect.
Right.
I consider disrespect. Other women calling my husband's phone that he used to date and popping up where we are because somebody
Mhm.
messy invited them, or they wanted to
Mhm.
just show up and start drama, and all the while I know he couldn't control their actions, but I felt like he should have did more to check it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
he felt like it'll stop eventually because he's a different person than me. I'm gonna bust you in your head.
Mhm.
He figures I just won't say nothing, and then they'll just stop. As long as they not confronting us, there's no harm. But you know what,
Mhm.
Shannon? I bounced on him for a little while. I
Yeah.
straight left him.
Yeah.
And he came
Right.
back like, oh, okay, like I didn't know it was that serious. Let me do something about it. Now, again,
Mhm.
the unsaved me would have still been like, no, you're done. I'm good on you. Because I
Right.
shouldn't have had to
Right.
leave you for you to see that. But people are different. People handle
Mhm.
situations different. That was just how he handled things. Just let it die down. You know what I mean? I believe
Right.
in getting at it. Because a man had one time to call my phone, was like, oh, if your husband ain't gonna be there, I'm gonna come. He might not be there, but I'm gonna always represent him. Like I will shut stuff down
Yes.
immediately. You get what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes. Oh,
But people
yeah.
deal with things in different,
Mhm.
different ways. And although
Yeah.
he didn't see it as disrespectful, it bothered me. So eventually he
Right.
had to address that. You know what I mean? But the reason
Mhm.
I stayed and I stayed and I shared that story, Shannon, is that wasn't big enough for me to take my kids out of their stable environment. That wasn't big
Right.
enough for me to be divorced.
Mhm.
And my
Mhm.
advice would be to always try to resolve the issue if no one's being harmed. Now,
Yeah.
if he was out there chasing other women or the shoe was on the foot, he calling them and I
Mhm.
catch him calling them, it wouldn't have been a discussion for me.
That's right.
Peace
Yeah.
out. But we have to deal with each. We have to deal with each,
Mhm.
and everybody deals with it. They have a different level of acceptance. What do you think?
Right. No, I mean, look how the two of you have grown because you
Yeah.
didn't just throw them away and
Leave.
walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't leave. You said, okay, yeah, I'm mad. I can, go away for a little bit, but it took that for both of you to grow. Because even when stuff is quote unquote done to us, we still learn something from it.
I learned
And
not to be violent because that used to be my answer to
see,
everything.
see,
Because
yeah.
people probably gonna say from what you're saying, well, what did she learn? I learned
Mhm.
not to go bust a chick in their
Mhm.
head. That ain't always the answer,
Right,
even though she
right.
fully deserved it. A couple of them,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
don't do that because what does that teach my
Mhm.
kids? Right? That's not the way to handle things. Number
Right.
one,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
number two, he
Mhm.
thinks, oh, she go fight a little bit, she'll be okay. I don't have to deal with it. No,
Mhm.
me
Right.
shutting down and leaving taught him something too. I got to deal with this man. I'm gonna lose my wife.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So he still had
Mhm.
a choice to make.
Right. Now there are situations, where people, really do grow apart, especially when they marry really, really young.
Hmm.
Because what you want well, not except in your case, because you've been in love with since you were 16 with the same man, but for
19. Hold
or
on now.
19, I'm sorry,
19.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Give me a little bit now. I ain't been crazy that long.
Oh, I'm
It was
sorry.
3 years later. No, I'm just kidding. It was 19.
I'm confusing you with Beyonce. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh
No,
Lord.
ma'am. But go ahead.
So so because for me, what I wanted at, in my, teens and early 20s, I definitely don't want now. um,
I
because
get
for
it.
me, I was so shallow, it was all about the look. I didn't care about, if you had any substance, if you believed in God, if you could, hold a intelligent conversation, none of that mattered. It's just like, hey, I'm with the finest dude. I'm
In the
walking
club.
around. Yes, exactly. That was always my go-to. So imagine if I would have gotten married back then, how, and who I am today, that would have never worked. And I use my mother and father as a example as well. My dad, wonderful man, everyone knows I loved him to pieces, but my dad was a simple guy. He wanted to work, he wanted to come home and maybe watch TV. He didn't always watch a lot of TV, but give him a Budweiser and, some dinner, and he's going to sleep, ready to get up at 4 a.m. the next day to go to work. That was his thing. Whereas my mother, you know, go getter, she, got her master's in uh, system engineering, just uh, travel the world and do all these things. So they, of course, divorced when I was young, but they definitely would have never made it either way because she was worlds apart from him. Um,
Okay. Hmm.
so, they maybe could have made it work, but neither one of them would have been happy because he wouldn't want her going anywhere because he's not going to be, he wasn't that type of husband that say, okay, well, if you want to go to France, go on. No, he
Hmm.
would say, no, you're staying here. And then she would be unhappy because she'd want to go here, there, and everywhere. So it was just, they wanted different things and they married young. My mother was 16. That's another 16. She was 16 when her and my father
My
married.
mom was 16 when she married my dad too. That was
See?
the norm back then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the norm. Yeah, it definitely was. But there was no way that they could stay together. But then you
And my
have the
mom and
people
dad,
that,
they didn't stay together
hmm,
either. And
yeah,
quite frankly,
yeah.
Shannon, Jimmy and I didn't stay together. You see how much went on and how much
Oh, yeah,
transpired?
yeah,
We're successful. We're working through this marriage. I won't say successful is when, you have no more trouble and you just can wake up every day and you
yeah,
can trust
yeah.
it and you can believe it. We're not
Mm-hmm.
there.
Right.
After 4 years, it'll be 5 years in
Mm-hmm.
February that we've been remarried. We're still working. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
actively working. So
Yes.
imagine back then at that age, it definitely was no chance. You know what I mean? We're grown
Right.
as heck now.
Right.
We definitely
Mm-hmm.
didn't stand a chance the first time around, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
your mom and dad realized they were, from two different worlds. They called it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's just what it has to be. But you can
Yeah.
you can make those choices. But we talked about this last week. The choices get better the older we get.
Right.
It's
Right.
easier to stay than to
Mm-hmm.
walk away because you got stuck
Mm-hmm.
into these things. You got children. So it just
Yeah.
all depends. And that's why I will say several times, guys, throughout this episode, we got to gauge every situation differently. And Shannon, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you that harm and physical abuse and all that is not the only reason. What you just said is a perfect situation. Sometimes just losing yourself isn't worth it. Your
That's
self-worth,
right.
that's
Yeah.
not worth staying in a
Yeah.
situation like, do I have to stay bogged down
Mhm.
because you don't want to travel or you don't want to try new foods or you
Yep.
don't believe you should tell a chick not to call your phone because you're married now? I mean, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be,
Right.
right? But
Mhm.
we have to. My second husband, I'll go to him when it doesn't work to stay.
Mhm.
Jimmy and I could work through what we worked through, but my second husband, we were going through the exact same thing, like where Jimmy and I are now as far as losing each other or dying inside. And I was wanting to stay. I did not want to divorce my second husband. I'm going to be honest and say that because I did not want to have another failed marriage. I did
Yeah.
not want my children to have another man to have to come around them because he was
Mhm.
a good father to them. I knew they were safe. I didn't have to worry about him looking at them, touching on them. Like I was
Right.
comfortable and secure in that marriage financially. I didn't have to worry about what a bill was. But
Mhm.
he wasn't happy because he knew I was in love with someone else. So At first, I was livid at the thought of how selfish can you be to just leave me to save yourself, right? Until I found myself in that same situation. And leaving is all you can do to keep your own sanity sometimes, you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
So I absolutely know that, I probably
Mhm.
became a stranger in more than one relationship, Shannon, and I probably stayed in a few for whatever reason, and I've left a few because I saw no benefit in staying, because it
Right.
did more harm than good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have the people, that they're perfectly fine just becoming what I call roommates. They're married,
Yeah,
and from the outside looking in, everyone's like, oh, they've been married for 45 years or whatever, not realizing that probably 30 of those 45, these two people were just simply roommates.
yeah,
They don't want to be with nobody else. They
that's
don't want
right.
to go out and date and get back in the whatever technology is available for people to find, spouses or whatever. They're like, no, we're good. We have a nice home. We have nice clothes. We have, cars or whatever we have that we've built together. Why not keep it like this as long as they're both still faithful? And we've seen that a lot where no one's trying to go get with somebody else. No one is doing anything. They're just living their lives as basically roommates. And a lot of people would, talk trash about that.
Right,
And, the younger me, I'm sure I would talk trash about that. But now it's like, okay, whatever works for people, as long as, like you just mentioned, no one's dying inside, you know,
right.
they're comfortable.
Are losing themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like I said, that's the importance of gauging each situation separately. Sometimes people are
Yeah.
okay with being roommates. Sometimes people
Mm-hmm.
are okay with you stay up, I stay down. I have known at least three couples, I'm not kidding you, that stayed together till all of their children were out of high school. And the minute those kids were gone, they were done.
They
And
were
I
done. Yeah.
I respect that, although I could probably never see myself doing that, being miserable that long until I was in that situation. Because I would have stayed with my third
Mm-hmm.
daughters. I would have stayed with him so my daughter could have had a complete family. Because you know what? I
Mm-hmm.
had failed twice with the other two. And I just
Right.
wanted one of them to see what that felt like. But he was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a damn about you or the baby. I'm going. So no, he didn't mean that. He didn't say it like that.
Right.
He just
Right.
had to
Right.
save himself. And he was a great father to her then. He's a great father to all three of them still. Like I said, we're all family. So
Yeah.
I respect his decision to move on. And I know this is kind of untraditional, Shannon, but I want to bring up a movie that
Mm.
this kind of reminds me of. I want to just do a scenario and like fictional family. So I can throw that in. Is that cool?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So we talk about how people change and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, sometimes you become a stranger. I know this movie, and I think I've talked about it before with Alfred Woodard, Funny Valentine.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorite, y'all. That's why I probably reference it a lot. I mean, I could watch it every freaking week. But her husband cheated on her constantly. So one day she just ended up leaving. So he comes home, she's gone, she took the kids, she left. And the daughter ends up calling, a family member dies, he comes to the funeral. She just left him. She didn't talk to him, she wasn't talking to him, she was just done. Her aunt dies and he comes down for the funeral to wherever she went back to her hometown. And he says, I miss you and I want you back. And I need you to forgive me and I want you to come home. And she said to him, if I do decide to come back, one day, you might like not like the person I've become. And he said to her, I'd like to meet that person. And I thought long and hard about that line. I'm like, what you mean you like me? You done cheated on, you done turned into that. When all honestly, if you think about it, because there's always two sides to every story, right?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
she
Yeah.
had become too mundane, too focused on the house and kids, work, whatever. Nevertheless, you didn't see him stepping out, or you didn't tell him it bothered you. You went on, you dealt with it for so long, and then one day you just left. Maybe in that time she did become someone else. But you don't let stepping out be your resort, to the stranger or your significant other has become. You talk about it and try to resolve your differences, and you learn to live with it or move on.
Yeah.
But I said all that to say this in case I confuse someone and I mumbled it. He said, I'd like to see that person. Maybe he started stepping out because she no longer paid him attention. But instead
Yeah.
of talking to her about it, instead of sitting down saying, "Hey, we're drifting apart," he chose to go see other people. Instead of her saying, "Hey, what am I doing wrong?" And they could have did this. It's a movie, right? We don't see all sides of a movie.
Right, right.
I'm just wrapping it up in a in a nice little neat bundle here by saying, if you see your significant other Shannon changing or becoming a stranger, hey, let's talk this out, because you can
Right.
save yourself a lot of years of heartache and heartbreak. That's just my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and if I love that. I because uh, like you said, we don't know both sides, and even in real life, we've seen this situation, and
Right.
we don't know why um, people do what they do unless they have some type of sex addiction or something like that. But for normal people, if there is infidelity or something, there's usually some root cause there, and it's not.
And I want to think, when he said, "I
Hmm.
like to meet that person," I like to
Hmm.
think that whoever she had became, Shannon, that's not who I married. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's what that
right.
line meant to me. So yeah, I get
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. Hmm. Love it.
All right.
I
So
gotta
you got
watch it.
anything else? Yeah. See, now I've referenced that movie, I know, at least 3 times. I
Yeah,
told you.
yeah,
You
yeah.
was almost back to your black card, almost. So I'm gonna give you to the end of this season. Just do that for me. We give the audience assignments all the time, baby mama. Now, you need to get
Hmm.
somewhere this weekend and watch Funny
And
Valentine's. It's
watch
gonna
that.
change your
I
life.
got
It'll
to.
change
I
your life.
got to.
All right. Well, you got anything to add to the well, I did the fictional family, so we could do the wrap up, and
Yes.
we could do the wrap up in the Sweet Little Lie, and we can get out of here.
All right. So
You got
go
anything else
ahead
to
and
add to
wrap
the
it up.
topic? All right,
No.
let's wrap it up then. Okay, family, we'll leave you with this tonight. Things change and people change too. You know, that does not mean you can no longer serve each other as life partners. Sometimes simple discussion is all it takes. Start some new hobbies together or embrace your differences. Take on your own separate life outside of the home, like Shannon said her friend did. Go to these restaurants and things by yourself. As long as it isn't infidelity or something that can bring shame to your family and your relationship, go for it. However, if you continue to sleep next to a stranger, that's exactly what they will become. Someone you don't know anymore, and possibly someone you may eventually learn to live without. It happened to me. But if you both have found peace with the distance or your separateness, and you still want to remain in your relationship, like Shannon said, for 30 years, you just was roommates, do your thing and don't let anyone shame you for it. We all have to do what works best for us in our individual situations, keeping your vows in mind, keeping godliness in mind, keeping self-respect, in mind. And that's a decision that only you and your partner should be making, while considering the children, of course, if there are any. That's a wrap up.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, here we go into our final segment since we've covered fictional family with
I know, Shan.
funny.
I just couldn't
What's
help
it? What's it?
myself.
Funny Valentine.
Funny Valentine's. Funny Valentine's.
Funny Valentine.
I
All
couldn't help
right.
myself, Shannon. I had to talk about
That's
that.
fine. Yes, that is great. That's great. All right. Here we go.
All righty. So, our sweet little lie segment for tonight. It doesn't state if it's a male or female writer, but it reads as follows. The sweet little lie I would like to get off my chest is that I invite company over often because I no longer have a desire to be intimate with my partner. I plan things late and make sure people stay as long as possible so that I can clean up and go right to bed and to sleep. It's causing a strain in our relationship, but I love him and I don't want to leave. I'm sorry, I love them. They don't say if it's him or her, I'm sorry. But I love them and I don't want to leave. I just don't have any physical attraction to him anymore, but I don't want to be with anyone else. Now, these are not for sweet little lies are not for opinions or advice, but I do feel compelled to say two quick little things. I don't know if this is more of a sweet little lie or a problem that will certainly grow into a deeper situation. That's number one. And secondly, I'm not sure of the age here because none of that's supposed to be disclosed. But as an older woman, I can tell you, and if you're listening, and I hope you are, this could really be a conversation that can be had. It could probably menopause or midlife crisis, depending on the gender of the writer. So, I kind of felt a little bit of that as I was reading this. But, anyways, like I said, it may be a conversation that can relieve you from pretending and excuses, which has to become draining after a while, and it will get old with the other person. So, that's all I'm gonna say about that, Shannon.
Yeah, yeah. And I know you said no opinions, but um this ties back to what we were just talking about. You don't know
That's why I
what could
picked it.
drive
Mhm.
someone outside of the home.
Mhm.
Not that there's any excuse. Infidelity is wrong, period, point blank, whatever. We're not trying to excuse any type of behavior, but you don't know
People are
what can
human
drive
too.
people.
We're human.
Yes,
We
yes.
run. And when I say
Hmm.
not for opinion, Shannon, I don't mean that we don't give. I mean
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're not obligated to. But sometimes
right.
like I just feel compelled because if you wrote it, maybe you no one
Hmm.
in the world knows who you are, but maybe like hearing it
Right,
gives you
right.
some kind of comfort. But anyways,
Hmm.
I want to say this really quick before we end. I think that we're human first. I know that. We try to like
Yes,
live by God. We try, but everybody that listens to the show, Shannon, is not Christian. Like, we got to face it.
that's
Everybody that
right.
listens to Wife and Baby Mama
Hmm.
does not believe in Christianity, whatever. That's what
Hmm.
we believe in. And if you don't and you
Hmm.
still listen to us, we really thank you. But we're not forcing our values on you. That's not what this is. So outside of that, Shannon, if you don't believe in Christianity and you don't have those values and those biblical standards that you're upholding, I'm absolutely going to cheat on you if I ain't getting it at home. You get what I'm saying? So let's just be real. Let's just be real. And I mean, we're human first. So even the most
Mhm.
Christian, godly people are still human first. That flesh is a
Right.
mean thing. So we can pray,
Yes,
but
yes.
that's what forgiveness and that's what grace is for. We all make mistakes every day. And don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, cheating is not a mistake. Cheating is a choice. I will never ever
Yes, yes.
let somebody fool me to believe or let it come out of my, oh, I made a mistake. No, you made a
Mhm.
choice. But it
Mhm.
sometimes, is that choice, is it ever, okay? I don't know. But I get it. So I get what you're saying.
Right. Right.
And that's all I have, Shannon.
Awesome. All right. Well, tell them how to send in more. We want more.
Well, if you have any sweet little lies that you want to get off of your chest, we invite you to email us at wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com. That's wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com. And you're also privy to hit us up on any of our social media pages, which I don't say every week, and I should, and I just kind of forget. But yeah, so a couple of these came from social media. So if you would like to do it there, that's fine too. In our inbox or DMs, whatever. But wifeyandbabymama@gmail.com is always open for you and your sweet little lies or any opinions we have about the show. Because we asked some males to write in last week. So we're looking to hear from y'all.
Mhm.
We're looking to hear from y'all on
Yeah.
these two topics. Y'all don't want to come on here and
Yeah.
say it. We'll take the emails and read them. All right,
That's
baby mama.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sean. All right. So until next week, we once again thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us and supporting us and wanting to hear what Sean and Shannon got to talk about. And until next week, have a good one.
Love you all. Bye.
I'm wifey.